Good afternoon, YouTube. Deke here with D Fixin'. And I'm gonna guess that y'all are wondering what I'm doing today. I was driving to work this morning and I had to stop at the security gate, and I was dragging my foot on the brake a little bit, and one of the front wheels made a sound that no one likes to hear. But I just thought that maybe it was the squeaker. So then when I was backing into my parking spot, it sounded a little bit worse. So, I got out and looked at it, and one of the front discs is just touching just a hair. The pad wore down. So we're gonna pull some front wheels off of the truck, because I need this thing. I rely on it pretty heavy. So, I can nurse it along till the weekend, but that's not gonna fly. So we got to do it today, and we're excited to do it anyways. So here we go. All right, so we're gonna get a couple of jack stands in place. I just relaxed the jack a little bit so that the weight is on the jack stands. And then we're gonna have to look at something in a 22 and an impact gun. And then we can get a few things off of it. That's never what you want to see. You can't really see the back, but the front, let's see if we can get down here to this thing. The front, you can see she's just getting that little cringe on the outside, basically knocked the shine off of her. And I think the inside one is fine. So we're probably not gonna do discs this time, but I'm gonna take a couple minutes and clean this thing up, and we'll be right back. All right, so next is the, and then I'm tightening that don't help any. But next is the caliper bolts. The top one, I cracked it loose and it literally spun out with my fingers. But there could be a little bit of weight on this too. No, this one's being an asshole. That one was most definitely a problem. All right, I'm going to take you out of the cradle here for a minute. Or no, I can get through it like this. All right, so one brake pad, it's about halfway through. There you go, now you can see it. This one just started getting hot. Of the pins, one pin was greased perfect, came out with my fingers. This one had to be wrenched the entire way and she's rusty. That was your problem. So we got some cleaning to do before we can do any reassembly. All right, so we're pretty well cleaned up here. So now we're gonna go back into the assembly mode. So first things first, we gotta retract the caliper to about the factory setting, and basically just turning an old brake shoe inside out and backing her down. I ain't mad at that. All right. And then there's a lot of different information on the internet about how these go, but I'll tell you that they're exactly the same and there's no way to mess it up. Now, while I was cleaning, I also cleaned out my sliders, and the new kit didn't come with new sliders, so I'm just assuming that I have to reuse my old ones. So we're gonna take and grease up a few things here, which is always the fun part because you get all this crap all over your fingers and then it gets into everything else. But what are you gonna do? That is not good. We're gonna have to clean this one a little bit more because when you roll it in your fingers, you can feel flat spots in it, so we're gonna have to look at that. All right, so I cleaned her up and these are machined in there. I don't know what they were trying to do unless it was to differentiate between the two, but they're perfectly machined. So It could be to help the grease roll. I don't know. But we're going to grease these up good anyways. Then we got to be making sure that we don't get any of the grease on our braking parts, because that would be all kinds of bad. All right, and I think at this point, we're ready to pop her back on. All right, we got to go find our other C-clamp. All right, so we just had to collapse her just a little bit more and then push her on, and trying to get her snugged in there now. All right, so now you got to torque the life out of these things, and we got to go get a torque wrench set up for that. All right, so I couldn't remember what the torque settings were on the guide pins. Depending on where you look, it's any place between 30 and 80 pounds. Really? So we're going to call it 40 pounds because there wasn't that much torque on them. I mean, I snapped them right loose. So 30 is believable. 80 is kind of believable, but wow. So we're going to go with 40 pounds. We're going to torque them down. And then I got to pull the other front wheel off. I got to clean both front wheels, and then I'm going to swap them. Now, there's some other stuff I should really be doing here, y'all, but I mean, I got to drive this thing every day. My number 7 glow plug has been out for a couple months. My check engine light's on, but it's one glow plug, and the cold weather's over, so I don't care anymore. I mean, I do, but you know what I mean. It's not super important. My my windshield washer tank, please forgive me for saying this, froze up and broke 2 years ago. I ran right out and got another one. It's hanging on the wall right here behind me still. But on that one, you have to surgically crawl up through the tailpipe, go all the way up, tear out the inner fender on the other side, take out the battery, a whole bunch of stiffening clamps, and then there's only 800 bolts that hold this little 1 pound plastic jug in. I need to get it done soon, I do. But I think for today's emergency, we're just gonna, I mean, we caught this brake. Wow. We caught it. I rolled up to the gate and everything was smooth and cool, and all of a sudden, grrr, and then I was like, uh-oh. And you could see that it was just on that corner. So it hadn't even started, whoop, facing the wrong way with the camera. That ain't gonna work. But you can see it had just really started. I'll get the right angle on it yet. You know, it had just started touching the metal. And I felt that when I was backing into my parking spot. I'm like, oh crap, I know exactly what that is. So, I mean, we dodged a bullet on that one. So, you know, and finding that hung up pin on the caliper is what did that, because the other one didn't, you know, it didn't wear the same. So the caliper wasn't floating back and forth, and the truck don't pull. I mean, it goes straight down the road. So, you know, we really got lucky that time, and I'm very thankful for it. So I'm gonna torque this down here in a minute, and I'm gonna go pull the other side off. Maybe I'll film a little bit of washing the wheels, but who wants to wash that, really? I don't know. Unless I was in my mankini. No, nobody wants to see that either. All right, give me a minute. I'll be back. All right, folks. So here we are. We're at a dilemma. I pulled the driver's side apart, and those brake shoes are more than halfway still good, and that caliper is working, you know, the way that it should. It was nicely greased still. So then, do you swap them out? Do you keep them in, and so that way they were a pair? I don't know. It's one of life's freaking mysteries. It's going to take me a couple minutes to figure it out. So I traded the cold for dang flies. I'm getting the crap bit out of me by the flies. But as much as I hate to say it, I kind of think I'm going to put this one back together and run it a while. And that way, if the other side does fail again, I'll have a new set to go back on it or something, because on this one, the inner pads and the outer pads are exactly the same. So really, I could take the one good pad from over there, and if I run out, you know, I could use it. But then why are you being so dang cheap? It's 30 bucks, you know? But man, these buggers are bad all of a sudden. But anyways, I'm gonna pop a new set of pads on this thing just to say that I did it. And I'm gonna put her back together, and then we'll see. All right, y'all. The truck evaded a oil change today because the way that I set the jack and the jack stands in there, I couldn't get to either the oil filler plug, the oil drain plug, or the oil filter. Well, I could have, but they would have ran oil all over everything else, and I've already got a couple of big stains in the floor that I'm not happy about. But we did dodge a serious bullet with the brakes. So all I got done today was the brakes, and I cleaned the front wheels and I rotated them. I got to try out my new torque wrench. I've had this thing for a long time and never used it. I have one that goes to 75 pounds, and that's my engine building one. And this one goes to 150, and it sucks because this was my one, you know, that would get me through wheels and a couple of other motors. But if I would have pulled them brake hangers, the brake hangers, again, depending on where you look on the internet, have to be torqued. The shoe holders, the brake pad holders, the settings go from 200 to 280 depending on where you look. So I probably would have had to ad-lib that a little bit. But regardless, everything that's there has been torqued back to spec. I got 4 brand new pads on the front. I got to clean the wheels up because they were looking like crap. I found more shit that I didn't want to see, you know, like you always do, but I got 2 ball joints that are squirting grease a little. And I got a couple of boots that don't look so good, and everything's missing paint. But it's a 2013, so, I mean, I use this thing every day. But, as always, I'm Deke. You're watching D Fixin', and thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and comment. You know what? And P.S. I think you can do that in a YouTube video, right? P.S. If you know somebody on the Eastern Shore that's got an old car sitting in the garage, the barn, I'm not looking to buy nothing. You know, but I'll start it up. They can run it around the yard once and shove it right back in there and forget about it again. But I doodle with a bunch of stuff. I have one more truck lined up. I got a few things lined up. Plus, I've still got this old truck, this old trailer. I got plenty to do. But this is my junk, and I'm always looking to play with somebody else's junk. So keep it real. Keep me in mind. D Fixin' out.